Yair Rodríguez is good, but he's not better than Max Holloway or Brian Ortega. And that's a very bold statement. I think Volkanovski is going to be very cautious the first 2 rounds. You know, just depending how he feels and he realizes that maybe Yair is not at his level. Once he figures that out and shows Yair all these things, Volkanovski is going to go in there and just put him out. Hey guys, welcome to the False 9 podcast here with episode 146. Hey guys, welcome to another show. My name is Alvaro. I wonder if I ever said my name on the show before, but that's me, the host. Today's episode's, UFC 290. We have that this weekend. Very, very exciting fight card. That's all I'm going to talk about today because of time. Like I said, last episode got a lot of things moving, a lot of moving parts. We'll be moving, so that's exciting. I don't know if this one's going to be the last one to like next week, or I'll record another one. It just depends when we move, whether it's this weekend or next weekend. But that's coming. But hopefully I can give you guys some good content, post some good clips for the rest of the week. So I do apologize for the content being a little dry this past few days. So let's start off. We're going to start from the bottom, work our way to the main event. Like I said, it's just all about UFC 290. Bo Nickal and Trayson, I think I want to say Trayshawn or Trayson Gore. That fight got canceled. It's very unfortunate, I think, because we want to see Bo Nickal like kind of work his way up. And we want to see what he's made out of, and this was one of those tests where it was going to be a good matchup. It was a good matchup, and it was going to be a good fight for Bo. And we would just wanted to see, how he would do. And, we wanted to see him work his way up. So that fight got canceled. Gore suffered an injury. So he's, they were talking about how the fight's going to happen or what's going to happen basically. And trying to figure all that out. And eventually they did. I want to say it was today or last night. Bo Nickal's going to fight Val Woodburn. The guy's 7-0. But we don't know too much about him. We don't know, I personally don't even know. People were making fun of him because I think they said that he looked like, I forgot who they said that he looked like. I saw it somewhere on Reddit. So I just hope it's still a good fight. And, when it's always exciting because we never know what's going to happen when these last minute fights come up, right? We never know, if there's going to be an upset. We never know if the guy's going to be ready, whether it's the person that's already been training or the guy coming in, and what if Bo overly gets confident? He's like, oh, fuck this, whatever. And I understand they're professionals, but, sometimes they get in their head a little bit and their ego takes over, and sometimes they underestimate who they're going to face. So I really hope Bo doesn't do that. And I hope this guy Val, he comes out and just puts out a good fight and compete. And I really hope, Bo gets the win. I'm a fan. So I really hope he gets the win. It just sucks that he's, he kind of had a last minute replacement. He's been prepping for a guy for a minute and that was that. And then to find out that, not that your game plan has to change too much, but it has to change. And it just sucks that it's fight week and, you don't even know who you're fighting till it's Wednesday. You got to fight this guy in 4 days and watch film and just kind of get ready on top of fight week media, cutting weight, shit like that. Right. So I'm sure it's stressful on the person, but I hope Bo gets it done. And I think he will. I think within a round, he'll get this guy out of there. The next one we got Jalin Turner versus Dan Hooker, a competitive fight. This is more, I think, a fight. I mean, for both of these guys, they're kind of, I think, two names. I'm not familiar with Jalin. With Dan, I am somewhat familiar. I think Dan Hooker is one of those guys who's trying to make a comeback in the UFC and trying to be relevant and, just trying to get somewhere, right? And possibly maybe a title shot, because he was one of those guys back in the day that they try to push and never really had a moment, or when his time came, he kind of just didn't, what is it called? He just always came short, right? I wonder if he is the one that, let me see. Oh, his fight got canceled with Jalin Turner back then. I didn't know that. Let's see. Oh, he lost to Arnold Allen. He sure did lose to freaking Islam. Okay, so yeah. I get him and Wonder Boy confused. So don't come at me for that. But he lost to Michael Chandler, and then he lost to Islam Makhachev. So I mean, I hate to say this, but it's hard for me to accept or understand why Dan Hooker is on this fight. But I get it. He's somewhat of a draw, and this fight was supposed to happen at 285. So I'm happy they're doing it now. And guys, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I don't know too much about some of these fighters. I'm a fan of Bo, and I don't want to skip over this fight because I'm gonna literally talk about the rest of the fights pretty good. The next one, we have a middleweight fight, which is super exciting. We got Robert Whittaker versus, I don't even know how to say this guy's name, but it's Plessis or Plessis. So what I like about this fight is because Izzy's looking for a new opponent, right? And we all know that Izzy took the belt from Robert Whittaker, and then they ran it back 2 years later, and Robert Whittaker just came short, and Izzy's just dominant. So that was kind of the end of the story. And I don't think there's any reason to see that fight happen again, to be honest with you. And I think Robert Whittaker is perfectly fine with that. So this is a fight and a kind of a test for the Plessis. And he has some hype. He's been chirping at Izzy, things like that. And I think the UFC would like for him to win, because if he does win, now you have a nice main event for Izzy. So that's really exciting. And I don't think he stands a chance against Robert Whittaker, if I'm being honest. I think Robert Whittaker, he's the second best, and it sucks that he has to be in the same era as Israel Adesanya, because if Israel Adesanya did not that he didn't exist, but maybe they were in different periods of time, what if Izzy was 10 years later, things like that, right? I don't see who else could beat Robert Whittaker. I don't know too much of a history, so I'm not going to speak too much of that. But I've seen his fight against Izzy, and I've seen a lot of his stuff online. So I just don't. He's really good on the ground too, and he's so good at striking. So I just don't see how this guy stands a chance. I think it's gonna end pretty quick because Robert Whittaker is a killer. He's a killer, and we all, as UFC fans, knew that if he was ever to fight Alex Pereira, and we all kind of wanted to see that fight low key after the Izzy fight, because everybody thought, possibly that Izzy would win. It was like, well, if Izzy wins, we got Alex Pereira versus Robert Whittaker. You had Robert Whittaker calling out Alex Pereira after he won, because he knew he could beat him. And we knew as UFC, because, Alex Pereira just has no wrestling. And the killer that Robert Whittaker is, come on, So it's a test for Plessis. And even if he doesn't win against Robert Whittaker, we've seen this in the past, and this one example is going to be Yair when I get to that. Even if he loses and he keeps winning and he keeps beating the other guys, like Sean Strickland is another name, right? That's now relevant for him for a title shot, even though he lost to Alex Pereira. And even though, they can still make that fight with Sean Strickland, with Whittaker or Plessis, however they want to do it, right? But I think if Plessis does win, they are going to make the Izzy and him fight, or Plessis fight. And then after that, we'll see what they do with Sean Strickland. So, yeah, that's an exciting fight. I'm excited about that fight because it's going to be a war. It's going to be such an entertaining fight. I think Robert Whittaker gets it done in 2 rounds, maybe even 1. I don't think it goes to the ground too much. If it goes to the 3rd round, it might go to the ground. We might see some wrestling because somebody's going to probably want to seal the deal there. So we'll see what happens. And then we have Brandon Moreno, my guy. Brandon Moreno versus Pantoja, the Brazilian Alexandre Pantoja. Now, this fight, they gave it a narrative, to be honest with you. They gave it a storyline, and you couldn't go wrong with the storyline because of the past. So it's pretty interesting. I didn't know Brandon Moreno lost to this guy twice, to be honest with you. Or 3 times. I don't know. It's like 2 or 3. But it's interesting because I feel like, it's like, how do I put this? Like if I knew a guy, right? And let's say we would play basketball, right? 1v1 all the time, and or every now and then. And he always would beat me when I was a little kid. And now I'm like this pro, and he's a pro. And for some reason, we're playing on this 1v1 league, right? And I got to face him again. But he's always beating me. I've never beat him as a kid. So now I got to, I'm the number one. I'm the champ. And this guy's coming up. And I feel like that can get in your head. And you can start having second thoughts about yourself. You might be like, damn, this guy might have my number. This guy knows me. He already beat me. So he's going to come in here confident. Things like that, right? Now, maybe, I don't know who may think that. I don't think Brandon Moreno thinks that at all, to be honest with you. He fought one of the best featherweights in the world, which was Davidson Figueiredo. Keep in mind, like, the first fight, he was not supposed to win that fight. And the fact that they came out of the tie and just created this drama, and that just took 3-4 years, and they fought 4 times. It was dramatic, and the chapter's finally over. And now Brandon Moreno can be the champ and defend his belt with other opponents. And we see Brandon Moreno be the interim champ when he beat Cara France. And when I saw that fight, I knew Brandon Moreno was probably going to go down as one of the best featherweights in the world. No question about it. Because they're not taking away anything from anybody else. But he's going to go down as one of the best, not saying the best. And it's super exciting for Brandon Moreno to show his skills against a different opponent. Because we kind of see what he could do against Davidson. And if he would have won, he just needed to do the same thing that he did in the second fight. And obviously in the fourth fight. And, seeing a different face, it's like, okay, how are you going to adjust to this guy? How are you going to be able to handle him? And then on top of that, the pressure of this guy already beat you, twice or 3 times. And I'm sure, I don't know, I feel like Alexander's coming into this fight a little scared, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready for Brandon Moreno because, in my opinion, I was scared that he was going to lose to Cara France. And I was like, damn, this is going to be a really tough fight. And I thought Moreno, from the moment, obviously, that round that he got the leg kick, I don't know if second or third round, but I thought he was losing the fight. And I was like, damn, like, if this goes the distance, he's going to lose the fight. And, the belt, it's just gone. And the fact that he adjusted and he managed and he saw an opening and how he set that up, I mean, it was just master class, and it was beautiful to see. So I'm like, okay, this guy's got it. In the performance against Davidson, I mean, it was just unbelievable. So Brandon Moreno, in my opinion, puts this guy out in 2 rounds, and I don't think it'll go to the ground because Davidson tried to do that with Moreno, and Moreno's wrestling is amazing, and his jiu-jitsu is really good too. So I don't think Moreno's worried about it at all. I think if Moreno follows his game plan and does what he needs to do, he's going to win the fight just fine, and he'll come up and defend his title, and we'll see who he fights after that. So Brandon Moreno's, he's just too good in my opinion. And I'm not saying this guy's not, but I just think Brandon Moreno's really at a high level, and the only person I saw him compete with was Davidson Figueiredo. Like, that's it. And he barely kept up with him, especially towards the end. I mean, Brandon Moreno just got so much better. And like I said, Cara France, I felt like he was capable of doing it because he was coming up and he had all this confidence. And then Brandon Moreno just caught him, and that was that. So, again, Brandon Moreno is going to put him out. I think he can put him out, like knock him out, like TKO. I think that's what we're going to see, to be honest with you. And I think it's going to be a leg kick. To be like a leg kick, he's going to set up a leg kick, and he's just going to get him. That's my prediction. I'm going to clip that shit. So, yeah. The main event of the evening, we got Alexandre Volkanovski versus Yair Rodríguez. A big fight. But guys, I want to tell you something. Yair Rodríguez is good, but he's not better than Max Holloway or Brian Ortega. And that's a very bold statement. He beat, I can't even remember he beat Emmett. And then I want to say before that, Korean Zombie, I think, is the other guy that he beat. And Volkanovski made that guy look like a chump. And Yair Rodríguez went to distance, and he got a last-minute TK. It was very impressive, but it was last minute, And that's just very risky business, to be honest with you. He threw a Hail Mary and he got it. So, kudos for him. But against Brian Ortega, whether he was winning or losing that fight, he didn't really beat him, and he never beat Max Holloway. And then with Emmett, again, I already spoke how I felt about Emmett. I don't think he was really ever top 5 good. So I think Volkanovski is going to be very cautious the first 2 rounds. Just depending how he feels and he realizes that maybe Yair is not at his level. Once he figures that out and shows Yair all these things, Volkanovski is going to go in there and just put him out. Once if Volkanovski puts his hands on him, whether it's in the clinch or on the ground, I mean, it's over. I don't see Yair being able to basically, how do I say it? I don't see Yair taking Volk down. I don't see Yair anywhere near him as far as striking. I think the only advantage and what Yair Rodríguez has is going to be his kicks. His kicks are going to be very dangerous, and I'm sure Volk, that's probably what he worked on all his camp. So I think that's the only threat that Yair has. And I'm not saying that he's not good. He's fucking a beast. He's an animal. But again, guys, let's keep in mind, he didn't beat Max Holloway. He really didn't beat Ortega. And Korean Zombie fight was a good fight. And again, I just don't think I think because of how he got that Korean Zombie knockout and then how he did against Emmett, and because it was an interim title, I think really he was just at the right time, at the right place. And he got the fight. And, I mean, he racked the needed wins to be there. And, again, not taking anything away from Yair. He's Mexican, and it would make me happy to see him win. But, I got to realize, I was like, bro, this is Volkanovski, arguably the pound for pound at the moment. And Volkanovski is beatable, but we all believe that he won against Islam, and we find it very, very difficult for him to lose. Like, who is he going to lose to? Especially the performance I guess he had Islam. It's like, bro, nobody can beat him. Like, nobody. And, something freaky can happen where Yair does some weird shit and just hits him in the head and lights out. You never know. People can get hit with anything, and there's always been surprises in the UFC. We've seen it plenty of times. But my opinion, my prediction is going to be Volkanovski puts him out in the 3rd round. TKO, just with the strikes. Like I said, Volkanovski is going to show him everything. He's going to adjust. He's going to realize, that Yair is maybe not at the level, or he's going to find the weaknesses of Yair, and he's just going to set something beautiful up. And I think we're going to see Volkanovski's best performance with a finish. With Islam, it was probably one of his best performances, but obviously he lost. But this one's going to be his best performance, but with the finish and with the win. So that's that, guys. That's all I got for today. Just because, again, like I said, time, and I'll be moving. So I will see you guys either on Tuesday or next Friday. But I hope you guys have a great Friday today. And I really hope you guys had a great week. And I hope you guys stay blessed. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.